GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers. Navigating the insidious illness of Alzheimer's is something nobody asks for. The disease sneaks up on you and your loved one, and it feels like you've been sucker punched in the gut. Then you ask, where do we turn for help? Who do we call? What do we do? These questions and more are what we hope to answer and give you some direction and hope. Now let's join our host, Jeff Edwards.
Greetings and welcome. This is GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, episode 64, or How to Eat an Elephant. The where, the when, the how. How's everybody doing? Thanks for joining us today. You know, I was just thinking, we don't have another holiday coming our way until Labor Day. Oh my goodness, I don't know how we're going to deal with that. It's going to be a long, hot summer, I know, but we're going to just try to keep it light. Now, this wouldn't be GutPunched if we didn't go over our tenets, or rules. And the tenets we follow at GutPunched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, are simple, but they're very important. Number one, you have to take care of yourself, because if something happens to you, who is going to take care of your loved one? Number two, you can't do it alone. You need help. Find good caregiver groups or network with friends or relatives. Number three, make a list of people, friends, relatives, co-workers who have offered to help you in time of need. And then make a list of things you need done but can't do yourself because caregiving duties are overwhelming. Use the lists. Start at the top. Keep going till you get what you need done, and you'll find it very helpful. Then number four, create a help signal. Identify a cue or phrase to confirm your loved one is comfortable with receiving help. Something your loved one can remember or write down on an index card or something so they can have it and save it, locate it. It'll help put them at ease. So, here's what we're going to talk about this week. When it comes to the difficult decision of moving your loved one to an assisted living community, figuring out the where, the when, and the how can feel as though you're trying to eat an elephant. Senior Care Authority of New York and Florida are the experts at eating elephants and will guide you and support you through this monumental task. Ready? Here we go. Our guest is someone I had seen at a seminar back in February of this year. I was very impressed with what she had to say and how she said it. I thought, I have to reach out to this person. Well, just a few weeks ago, I attended a breakfast with the Alzheimer's Association, and she spoke again. But this time, I had a chance to speak to her right after the meeting had ended. She agreed to talk with us about Senior Care Authority and what they're all about. Hi, Cynthia. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Senior Care Authority. Can you give us a brief history of what it is?
I can, and I want to start by saying my parents who are deceased, my mother is spinning in her grave because she always told me that I was not the boss of everything or the authority of everything. And I really, many reasons wish she was still here, but I really wish she could see my name tag because it says I am the authority and I'm the authority on senior care. So I love the name of it, but Senior Care Authority is a franchise, and I at one time was the largest franchise holder for this operation. And they started about 12, 14 years ago. And my part of it, I got into this business in 2017. And the reason this business was developed and the reason I joined into this business was the fact that I had helped my parents. I lived in Manhattan. My parents lived in Texas, and they began to fail and decline in 2008. And in 2008, I worked on Wall Street. There was a market crash. I had a child getting out of college. I had a child going off to boarding school. I was getting a divorce. The markets were crazy. I didn't know if I was going to have a job. And my parents began to fail. My father had Alzheimer's, and I'm traveling 100,000 miles a year for business. And I've got a new job that I have to do. When I got through all of that, my parents, obviously, like everyone, they died. My friends were calling me, and I realized I was of an age where we were all getting older, and our parents were getting older, or our partners were getting older, and things were happening to them, and none of us were trained for caring for them. In my world, it wasn't a discussion my parents had. I don't know about your parents, but did they sit around and talk about what they were going to do when they died, or how they were going to die, or how you were going to take care of them?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, not at all. We don't talk about death. We don't talk about disease. I kind of have a saying that most of my clients and most of the people I speak to, if I ask them how many people here think you're going to die in your sleep and bounce your last check, 100% of the people in the room will raise their hands. Even though I know that's not true, and you know that's not true, we probably kind of think that's what's going to happen to us.
You kind of hope it does.
We hope it does. Exactly. That would be just our perfect world. But that's how I got involved with it, was because people were calling me. My children say I got involved because I needed to find my own place because they weren't coming back from the West Coast to care for me. I have found my own place in many ways. It changes kind of regularly, but it's just the way it is. We're not in a group of people who think they're going to die. We're not in a group of people who discuss about a decline because they all think they're going to be healthy to the very last breath.
I get it. I think the same thing. I know
I
know it's not going to be that way, but that's okay. You're going back and forth between New York and Florida, and that's got to keep you busy. Did you start in New York first and then come here?
I did start in New York first. As I mentioned earlier, I worked on Wall Street, and I then started this business in New York. And I also had purchased the franchises in Florida because I thought I would move to Florida when I was 85, because that was the time that you were supposed to move to Florida. So that's what I thought was going to happen to me. I came down with COVID in February of 2020. I was in New York, sick, very, very sick, before COVID had really exploded. If you remember, COVID kind of really hit us in the face March 16. I, by that point, was recovering and had almost recovered. And I thought, I've got to get out of here. And I went to Florida, and I didn't come back to New York for almost a year. And I started doing a lot of business in Florida. And at that point, a lot of things about my life had changed for a variety of reasons. I just decided that Florida was where I needed to be. And I needed to be there because it was a clean, healthy place, I felt like. And I needed to be there because I had developed some friendships during 2020 that were important to me. And I also need to be there from a business standpoint because a lot of us come down there to spend our last days. But I also was really excited that I had a reason to go there because I was able to go at age 60 instead of at 85, which gave me a chance to build my support network as I age in a location. And that's what is also important when I talk with people about, if we come to this, about making a move into an assisted living. I want my clients to dance in the door and have the opportunity to be in an assisted living or that type of community living when they can build relationships and build their people to help them, as opposed to coming at 85 or coming at 95 or going on a stretcher. I don't want that to be the way that people move.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it's a good way to proceed with that. Explain the process you go through when you or an advisor meets a family for the first time. What do you talk to them about?
What I really try to do is I try to listen to them, because I am a believer that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and that we need to listen twice as much as we speak, which you're not going to hear this on the podcast because, of course, I'm trying to give you all of the information with a fire hose. But we want to listen to them. And so we're asking questions that may have nothing to do with the real reason they called us. They call us because there's usually been an emergency in the family or there's some concern. But we want to understand the family dynamics. We want to understand the family member that they may be calling about. It may be a spouse or a partner. It may be their parent. I've had to deal with people who were calling me about their children because maybe they had early onset Alzheimer's. And I've had to talk to a parent about a child who has Alzheimer's that's in their 50s. We want to know who they were. So we're asking questions like, do you have any pets? What did you do when you were working? What was the favorite thing you did when you were younger? What kind of car did you drive? Where did you go to school? How did you get to wherever you are? If you're in Ohio, we do a lot of work all over the country. And I want to know, were you born in Ohio? Did you move to Ohio? Did you retire in Ohio or Florida or wherever it is that you are? Tell me about your family. Do you have any family? How are those family relationships? I want to know all about them before I start to ask questions about what are things you're concerned about with your health. We don't want to understand who someone is based on how much money they have or what their prognosis is. We want to understand how we can help somebody to keep being the person that they were, are, or want to be. So we spend a lot of time just listening to them, tell us about their stories, their life. We spend a good hour with anyone who calls us.
That's a good way to approach it. It really is, I think, from my perspective and how I'm looking at things, going through all this stuff. You want to keep that there. There's something that they hold on to and keep with them as they get worse and worse and worse. But still, yeah.
Right.
Wow.
We want them to keep it. And one of the things that we love about the work that we do in this space is that we are helping so many people, and that if we just keep our heads down, we can help a lot of people. But one of the things that is joyful for us is we meet people who are so amazing that I'm really bummed sometimes when I get off the phone that I haven't known them for 20 years. We meet people who were the first to do whatever in their family, or the first in their sociological demographic to do something, or the first in their country to do something. We meet the first of their gender to do something, the first woman that ever did this, and the first immigrant that ever did this. We meet these people that have these stories that are amazing, and it just brings joy to our hearts and makes our job fun to say, you know what, I met this guy the other day who did X, Y, and Z. They're amazing stories.
You're looking at them as a person, at who they are now, but going back and finding out who they were and bringing them together. It's kind of like you're going to this to the level that they will best function at.
We're meeting them where we're helping them get to where they best function. But we also are helping them trust us more, to know that we're there for them. When an adult child calls me and says, my mother is going through these things and this is what we would like to have happen, my team tells that adult child, you're the person who's going to be the voice for your mother, but my care, my responsibility, my job is your mother. Whether she's in the hospital and I haven't spoken to her and may not speak to her for a long time, my job is to care for your mother. My job is to not do what you think is right and what makes you happy as the adult child, but what is going to be good for the whole family dynamic and everybody, but it's also good for your mother. And it's not that I'm going to do what your mother wants me to have to do or what your mother is saying. I'm going to help your mother understand what might be the better solution to whatever you're going through.
Okay, that's good. You become more of an advocate for the families is what I'm gathering, and you help them sort out, understand all the care options, go through the healthcare system, get accurate, up-to-date information, and connect them to vetted local resources. It's like you're relieving them of the burdens of having to figure it out for themselves, really.
Correct.
So, yeah, and I think I put it in my notes is like a soup to nuts approach, which to me seems like the way to go, because how do you find different healthcare options? Is there a specific process you follow? There's so much out there, and the family and the patient, they have no idea. That's why they're calling you. You have the expertise to direct them and guide them for which is best for them. And I liked what you said early on. It's not how much money you have to spend, because there's a lot of places like that. It's how can we help you and how can we make this easier? That's really neat to do.
It's also what we try to help. I think about myself. And when I was trying to help my parents, my father, again, had Alzheimer's and my mother died early in that process. So my father was diagnosed in 2008. My mother died in 2010, and my father didn't die until 2016. That was that long period of time between my mother's death and my father's death, because we didn't really know what was going on with my dad until my mother was gone, because she covered up and took care of him, right?
Yep.
And so during that 6-year period, for 3 years, my sister lived, I don't know, a couple 100 miles away. I lived in New York City. My parents were in Texas. We tried to manage from afar, and we tried to do what we thought our father wanted, because he told us, if you ever move me out of my home, I will kill myself. That's what he said to us. And my sister and I shook in our boots and said, oh my gosh, we can't do that. At the end of the day, my father lived for 3 years with Alzheimer's in a home alone, that he wasn't safe in any form or fashion. But we kept saying, he doesn't want to move. He doesn't want to move. He asked us not to move him. He asked us not to move him. Well, the day that I got a phone call at 3 a.m. in New York City, and it was the police who said, we have your dad. And he was walking on the side of the road in his pajamas with the dog going to the grocery store at 3 a.m.
Wow.
And at that point, I called my sister and I said, did he tell us how he was going to kill himself? And she said, he never said how he was going to do it. And I said, then we're moving him. And we moved him within a week. My father was happier than he had been in the past 3 years, because everything was calmed for him. He didn't have to worry about the food that we were having delivered that was sitting on the front porch. and he was not eating it. He didn't have to worry about the front door not being locked and us having a camera on it and saying, you got to go lock the front door. He didn't have to worry about calling the cable company he was calling every day. And when we would come in and just plug in the TV, because he didn't understand how to work the TV, he didn't have to worry about those things. And when I went to see him, the first time I went to see him after we moved him, he said to me, I'm so glad you're here. I want to show you the hotel that your mom and I bought. It was this joyous man that was telling me this great story about a hotel that he lived in. And that just took all the weight off of me.
Sure.
Because we had tried to do what we thought he wanted. But what he really wanted was for us to care for him. He really wanted us to make sure he was safe. That's what they all really want. But they come out it as a way of saying, don't move me, because they don't know how else to say it.
And that's what they know. And now you're going to change, and people don't like change no matter who you are and how old you are. And say, I don't want to do this. You had to do it. And they go, whew.
Right.
But they didn't know to tell you back then, do what you think. This is what I want. I understand it.
Correct.
Sometimes you got to make that move, and it's hard as a child, if that's what you're looking at. I talk to a lot of men caregivers in our caregivers group. They sit there and they go, well, I don't want to take my wife and put her in the home. I promised I wouldn't. I promised I wouldn't. But it gets to a point that it's so bad that they really have to. When they went through that process and did it, they said, I don't know why I didn't do it any sooner. Hindsight is 20/20, and you go, you should have. But this is a hard illness to face. This is a hard thing to go through. You're fortunate you had a sister. Some people don't have anybody else, and they don't have anybody to talk to. They don't know who to ask. How do I get that information?
That's how we step in for that.
Yep.
I also think about it sometimes. I frame it in a way that if you ask me of sound mind and body right now, if you say to me, I have 2 children, they're 40 and 30. If you said to me, Cynthia, in 20 years, 10, 20 years, your children are going to need to give up their jobs, and they're going to have to give up going to the soccer games or whatever they're doing with their children. And they're going to have to give all of that up because they're going to need to care for you and try to make things work for you. That means they may have a loss of income. It may mean they may have a loss of a relationship, whoever they're with, and with their mother. I would say do not do that, because I have spent a lot of time and money and love and effort raising my children to be what I call fully launched into the world. And I would not want to have any part of them having to step back and not do that, and having any part of them having to sacrifice everything that they know to try to come and help me when there are other options for me to be helped.
There you go.
And so that's how I always thought about it. It made me feel good that my dad would have said, no way, you've got kids, you have a job, you have a life. Don't sacrifice all of those things to your detriment going forward to come and take care of me when there's another option.
Wow.
And that option was good for our whole family. My dad was the happiest I'd seen him in years when he was hanging out with his buddies at the memory care community.
There you go. And they're comfortable.
Yep.
A lot of things don't bother them if they embrace it. It could be
Correct.
a good life and they don't even know it.
Correct.
That's
They
good.
could be having a hotel. And even people who don't have memory issues, even people who just need help with their activities of daily living, and they're calling the doorman or they're calling their neighbor to come over and help them and to lift them off of the floor when they had fallen, or they're not eating well, or there's all these things, and they become socially isolated because they don't want to call someone or they can't really get out and about. We don't want people to be socially isolated. It's deadly.
Yeah, it is. The social part of it is very, very important, and a lot of people don't talk about it. You have
Right.
to be able to engage with other people. I've seen and experienced when you go out with somebody who's got an illness, you look at them, they seem okay, they can carry themselves, but then they're very quiet because they don't want to talk or let people think, oh, there's something wrong with that person. So they tend to
Right.
clam up, and that just makes it worse because they get deeper and deeper of being quiet and not being social. It's an integral part. I've seen it in action and I understand it. That's just something people should pay attention to. And that's one of the issues.
Yeah.
There's so many factors involved in this illness, and everyone is different. They have to reach out, they have to investigate, and they have to talk to other people like yourself and call you and say, this is what I've got. You can help them. But if they don't, they don't know.
They don't know. And I think that we see a good amount of is we'll get a phone call from someone who says, my next door neighbor told me to go to place A. They told me to go look at place A. And I went to place A and it was just horrific. And I would never, that isn't the right place. And I will say, talk to me about your mother, your spouse. Talk to me about them. And they'll tell me and I'll say, you know what? I would have never suggested you go to place A. That's not the right place. It's the right place for your neighbor, but it may not be the right place for you.
Exactly.
And the beauty of this country that we live in today is that, and especially the areas that we live in Florida or other areas that I work around the country, there are dozens of options. And what is good for your neighbor may not be good for you. What was good for me may not be good for you. And I have clients who will say, where's the best place, quote unquote? Where's the best place? I want to go to the best place. Where is it? And I say, you know what? I can't tell you that. What I can do is I can provide you some options that I think might fit your person. Once I've shown you these options, which I'm only going to show you 3 or 4 because you're going to get overwhelmed by going to see 36 places. I want to show you 3 or 4 that seem to fit from what I've learned about your family and about your person. And then you have to make that decision. But you have to try to keep yourself from making that decision based on a chandelier. They'll say, but I looked at place A and, it's just beautiful. Great. Beautiful is not why we're moving.
Right.
We're moving because we need some care and we need some help and we need to have people there who know what they're doing. And a chandelier can cover up a world of bad problems if you don't know what you're looking at.
Right. Care is horrible, but that's okay.
I tell people, in the middle of the night when your loved one needs some help, the chandelier is not going to be coming down the hall to come in and help them. So you need to make sure that it's somebody, that the care is good there and that the management is good. And there's a lot of other things that are behind the scenes that we know because we're in these communities. I have a team of 5 people that I work with in Florida that we're in a community. Someone on my team is in a community every day because we're touring. We're going to meet somebody over there who's new. We're going to an event that's there. We're just checking in. We live close and we drop by to see a client. We're there, so we know what is going on.
That's excellent. Can you tell our audience how they can reach you? Like a website address, phone number, whatever, however you want contact?
Sure. So I'm going to spell it out. The website is obviously www.scanyfl. So that stands for Senior Care Authority, New York, Florida. Even though we work a lot of places, that's what our site is. scanyfl.com.
Okay.
That's our website. And on that site, you can click on something that just shoots me an email, or you can reach out to me by my email address, which is cynthia@seniorcareauthority.com.
Okay, good.
On our website, we do a lot of blogging on the website. We have a YouTube channel, and you can get to all of that through the website. There's a lot of educational items that are on our website.
Definitely. And I was going to ask you about your podcast. How long have you been doing them?
I work with Frank Sampson, who is the CEO of Senior Care Authority Corporate, and he does them. And it's called Boomers Today, Boomers Today. He did it as a radio show for a long time. He's been involved with it for 10 years. And then I came in and did some for him as a substitute for a couple of years, and I haven't gotten back to it. But those are on our website as well.
And they're very good. I enjoyed watching
They're very
them
good.
because they're different. It's informational, but it's easy to listen to.
Let me tell you one other thing. I do a lot of speaking around Alzheimer's and around other aging situations. I speak to churches and synagogues and Rotary clubs and women's groups and men's groups and university groups and you name it. If there's 5-10 people gathered in a room, I can come and speak. If anyone is looking for a speaker, then just feel free to give me a call. I do them through the web, through Zooms. I do them in person. And it's just something that helps me believe that I'm helping a lot of people because I can give them information and be more accessible to them in person about a certain topic. I have a number of topics.
And I would recommend, if you are interested, check that out because she is very good. She speaks well. She's fluid. She's easy to listen to. I want to thank you so much for your time, Cynthia, and for sharing some great information about Senior Care Authority and your philosophy about the care and about life. I found it very helpful, and I know our audience will too. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We hope you were able to take away some great information from our guest, Cynthia Perthuis. I know we had fun recording it, and as they say in the business, some things were left on the cutting room floor.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
In the fight against Alzheimer's, now matters more than ever. Because now we have treatments that could change everything. But now is no time to stop. Now we've got momentum, so now we use it. Now we seize the moment. Now we turn the tide. Now we make a difference and make some noise. Now is the time to get up, get out, and join the movement. At the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's, held in over 600 communities nationwide. And we need you with us. Because now is the time for hope. Join the fight at alz.org/walk.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Next week, we'll be talking with author and musician from Elder Care Entertainment, Mr. Bob Shea. And does he have a story? We've talked a couple of times, and I think you will enjoy his journey into entertaining the people in memory care facilities. For more information, reach out to the Dubin Center at dubincenter.com. And you can check out the Alzheimer's Support Network at alzsupport.org/about-us. And to find your local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, you can visit alz.org/local resources /find your local chapter. Or, easier than that, call their toll-free hotline at 1-800-272-3900. Now, they have a new resource called Dementia Care Navigation Service, powered by Ripple and Alzheimer's Association. Caregivers and people living with Alzheimer's or another dementia can access personalized dementia care for free, including a dedicated care navigator and tailored resources. You can call 855-271-2662 to get connected. That number again is 855-271-2662. Take the first step and contact them. Check it out. We mention the guide frequently. It's another great resource and provides help and respite care. And it's probably easier just to Google it, Edge it, or DuckDuckGo it. And we finally have a Gut Punch Alzheimer's and Caregivers group on Facebook. It's under Jeff Edwards or Gut Punch Alzheimer's and Caregivers group. That's an easy name to remember. The group is growing. Check it out, please. Our website is gutpunched.com, and the email address is gutpunchedac@outlook.com or jeff@gutpunch.com. Help us grow and share this podcast with others who have someone or know someone who has a family member or friends who are dealing with a loved one who has Alzheimer's or any type of dementia that you would let them know about this podcast. They may need the information and resources. There is help and hope out there for everyone. You must just know where and how to find it, and that's why we're here. Thanks for the comments and messages you're sending, and please, no more spam. If you like what you hear, subscribe to the podcast, and please leave us a 5-star review. Thanks for joining us, and please come back again. God bless.
This has been Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, with your host, Jeff Edwards. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to us on all the platforms like Spotify, Apple, Pandora, and more. If you have a question or want to get in touch, our email is gutpunchedac@outlook.com.